latest Browns NFL mock draft allows Cleveland to build around Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur Sanders steals the show over the last 6 games, the Cleveland Browns could use their first 4 picks in the top 100 to build around their polarizing 5th-round quarterback. That win gave Cleveland their 3rd of the season, and many have pointed out that it actually hurts the Browns' draft positioning in April. If the NFL draft were to take place ahead of Week 13, Cleveland's first pick would be number 6 overall. Shedeur Sanders mania is sweeping the nation. So let's put together what a 3-round mock draft would look like if Cleveland's polarizing 5th-round quarterback can turn heads over the last 6 games of the season. Remember, the Browns have one of the best defenses in football. Sanders being a solution at quarterback would allow Cleveland to continue building momentum from last season's stellar rookie class by adding impact players who could contribute right away. In this mock draft simulation, the New York Jets selected Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the number 2 overall selection. The New Orleans Saints drafted Oregon quarterback Dante Moore with the number 3 overall selection, and the Las Vegas Raiders took quarterback Ty Simpson out of Alabama at number 5 overall. The Tennessee Titans don't need a QB at number 1 overall. Neither do the New York Giants, who selected wide receiver Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State at number 4 overall. Building around Sanders, the Browns desperately need help at receiver. Jerry Jeudy has been a massive disappointment when you factor in his role and salary. Tate would instantly become the number 1 receiving option in Cleveland. He's primed to follow in the footsteps of dominant Ohio State pass catchers like Emeka Egbuka and Jackson Smith-Njigba. While the Browns might have slightly reached to take one of the best pass catchers in this draft off the board, their glaring hole at receiver warranted it. Now, they find some value at the end of the 1st round by drafting Oregon's premier transfer portal lineman who dominated in his first 3 seasons with Nevada. The last lineman the Browns took from Nevada, Joel Bitonio, worked out quite all right. At 6'8", 309 pounds, with near 35-inch arms, World could prove to be the missing piece to protect Sanders' blind side. An older, fast-rising prospect with plenty of college football experience, World would be able to start right away. Cleveland's entire starting offensive line will enter free agency at the end of the season. Perhaps they could reunite with veteran right guard Wyatt Teller on an extended contract, but Ethan Posick could command a nice deal in the open market. Brailsford was a part of the Washington Huskies' award-winning offensive line in 2023 before transferring to Alabama. Another proven prospect, Brailsford has played nearly 40 games of college football. Remember how badly the Browns desperately need help at receiver. We know the Browns have an eternal affinity for Tennessee Volunteers, so insert the 6'5" jump ball machine to join Tate and Jeudy in Cleveland's revamped passing game. Brazel had first-round buzz when he transferred from Tulane, but struggled to pop off the page behind other NFL draft picks on the Volunteers. At his size, Brazel is a capable route runner and has taken advantage of an increased opportunity in 2025, putting up career-high yards and touchdowns. The sun hadn't even lifted over Lake Erie, but inside the Cleveland Browns facility, the lights were already blazing. Draft season did that to a city. Hope didn't just rise here, it leaked into everything. The sidewalks, the skyline, the conversations in every diner packed with fans in brown and orange. And this year, hope had a name, Shedeur Sanders. The rookie quarterback had already turned Cleveland into a different kind of football town. Not the gritty, tortured version that knew heartbreak like an old friend, but a new, electric Cleveland, one that believed in the possibility of a franchise quarterback not just arriving, but thriving. So when the latest Browns mock draft dropped, fans didn't skim it. They devoured it. Because for the first time in decades, the question wasn't, who replaces the quarterback? It was, who do we get to build around him? The mock draft begins, a blueprint for a new era. The analysts framed it perfectly. If you have a quarterback who's calm under pressure, unfazed by noise, and wired like a surgeon, you don't draft for desperation, you draft for elevation. And that's exactly what the Browns mock draft promised. A complete architecture built around Shedeur Sanders. The first-round projection was a monster headline by itself, an elite offensive tackle, a bookend protector, a bodyguard whose job could be summed up in 5 words: keep Shedeur clean at all costs. In Boulder, Shedeur had escaped pressure with ease. In the NFL, he'd already flashed that same flair. But the Browns knew something every great franchise eventually learns. Even a magician shouldn't have to escape every trick. So the analysts mocked Cleveland a tackle with skyscraper length and fast-twitch feet, someone who could erase edge rushers before they even drew breath. It wasn't glamorous, but it was foundational. And for the first time in years, Browns fans loved a foundational pick. Protect the investment, the analysts said. Protect the future, the fans echoed. Round 2. Firepower incoming. But protecting Shedeur was just the beginning. A quarterback like him, accurate, fearless, aggressive, needed weapons. Real weapons. Not maybe someday weapons. The mock draft had the Browns selecting a big play wide receiver with rare deep threat ability. A 6 feet 3 inches boundary menace with a second gear that defensive backs underestimated every single week. The scouting notes read like a love letter to Shedeur's skill set. Wins at the catch point. Tracks deep balls like a center fielder. Creates separation even when bracketed. Fearless over the middle. In other words, the perfect partner for a quarterback who threw with timing, trust, and attitude. On social media, Browns fans immediately began spamming edits. Shedeur dropping back. Planting his foot. Firing a missile 45 yards downfield. The rookie wide out exploding past a corner, the ball dropping into his hands like gravity didn't apply. A new era highlight reel, imagined before the draft even happened. Round 3, the playmaker nobody expected. Then came the surprise of the mock draft, a dynamic receiving tight end, a sort of mismatch hunter who could turn the intermediate area of the field into Shedeur's personal playground. He was fast enough to outrun linebackers and big enough to outmuscle safeties. One scouting report said he ran routes like a wide receiver trapped in a tight end's body. That was all fans needed to hear. Because Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a thrower, he was a distributor. A point guard in cleats. And the best quarterbacks didn't always need the fastest or strongest weapon, they needed the most flexible one. He's gonna cook with that dude, Shannon Sharpe said in a viral clip that Browns fans passed around like scripture. Defense. Sure. But this draft was about one man. If the Browns were honest with themselves, they knew the defense would still be elite. Myles Garrett hadn't gone anywhere. The secondary still flew around like hornets. And the linebackers were tougher than Ohio winters. So the mock draft sprinkled in defense only sparingly, value picks, depth, future insurance. This draft wasn't about patching problems. It was about building a kingdom around a king.